In this week's Rogers McHugh YouTube video, you're going to get to meet the branch manager of our York office, Tom Makin. We'll be going through some questions, give you a bit of an understanding of who he is and what he's about. Let's go! So welcome to this week's YouTube channel, and in this week's video we're going to get to meet Tom, the branch manager of our York office. So, nice easy one for you, Tom, before we get started. What did you do before recruitment?
So before recruitment, straight out of school I went into a bricklaying apprenticeship. I was sort of working with a local builder for the first couple of years, and then went in with Langer O'Rourke, sort of largest privately owned building company in the UK. So I was with them for just short of 7 years before getting laid off, as with all bricklayers in the northwest, and heading into this side of the business. Okay, so you've been on the tools in construction before getting into construction recruitment, so probably got a bit of an understanding about the market and probably a bit more understanding than people like myself, I suppose, that haven't worked in the industry. I do find it helps, to be honest with you, getting that understanding of how sites work, the sort of ins and outs of the day-to-day running of the business. So I do find it helps, and just sort of in regards to getting on with the lads and knowing what they sort of go through on a day-to-day basis.
Great. So why get into recruitment then? You obviously had a career path in construction that you'd started on. Why change and get into recruitment?
Like a lot of people, I fell into recruitment a little bit. So from leaving bricklaying, I got offered a role just to sort of help out for a few months within a different sector of recruitment. Enjoyed the job when I got in there, and sort of started exploring down this avenue, sort of into the construction side of it, with that being my sort of specialty and knowing the market. And
when was that? How long have you been in recruitment?
That was around 2015. I got into recruitment. So straight out of school in 2007.
Giving your age away there.
That's it. Yeah, too old now. But yeah, so from there, 2007, so 8 years in bricklaying, and then 2015 into this side of the business and into recruitment.
So what would you say your biggest successes in recruitment's been so far?
Probably the most obvious one, branch manager here.
Okay. You don't have to say that.
No, that's it. But no, I think it's a fairly obvious one. It's a big job title, big role, and obviously a big responsibility. I'd say prior to that, a few different things. I think I always say in recruitment, the biggest sort of promotion is your promotion from consultant to senior.
Yeah.
I think that's when you start looking at recruitment as a job to a career.
Yeah.
Sort of knowing that. I kind of skipped it slightly when I went from time to Randstad into the sort of more trades team leader role. Was kind of when I was in the senior role anyway. So it kind of skipped it slightly, but I think moving into that side of it, I think, is definitely a big success.
And now to put you a little bit under pressure, considering you're doing it with me, what would you say is the best thing about working with Rogers McHugh? So anybody that's looking at this thinking, is Rogers McHugh the type of place I want to go and work for? What would you say the best thing about working here is?
I'd say the people. I think I've worked in places before where it's not had the best atmosphere, and I think it's a massive part of any business. And I think I've seen a few things on LinkedIn recently where people coming into businesses, they aren't concentrating as much on salary, they're concentrating more on the culture. And I think the people make the culture of any business, and I'd say definitely the best thing about working here is the people that you're working with.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think it used to be a lot about the money with recruitment. I think that's kind of why people got into the market, and I think certainly over the last few years especially, there seems to have been that move to making sure that you're in the right environment and you're enjoying your work, I suppose. Okay. Well, that's good to hear. It's good to hear that you think that the team are obviously making it, which is what we try and set out, so that's positive. And in 2023, so just to timestamp this, we're middle of January 2023, so what does the sort of this year look like for you, and what are you hoping to achieve in 2023?
Obviously we've set budgets in place, everything like that sort of December. Hitting those budgets is a big thing for us. Growing the team in here. I think we had a successful sort of first year. Within the York office, and I think sort of growing the team in here and sort of looking to move forwards with this, sort of potentially obviously other sectors, everything like that. Sort of moving forwards and really getting everything done that we've sort of set in place from December.
Yeah, I think that's the key. So the York office opened in January last year, so we've been running at it. The first regional office was opened in January last year, and we had a good 12-month period, I think, where we got the processes in place. It seems to work in terms of logistically with you running it, and obviously me coming over on a more ad hoc basis. But we seem to have got through any teething problems that we might have had at the start of last year, and I think now really it is about growing the team. We've got some good people in this office now, so I'm looking forward to seeing how big we can take that this year.
Definitely.
I mean, no pressure, but we just need to get them all billing at a high level, and then we're on to a winner. Okay, and finally, there's probably going to be people out there that that are maybe thinking that recruitment might be a career for them. I mean, you've come at it a slightly different way. We've sort of met already a couple of the team, and obviously James and myself came more what I would class as more of a traditional route, going into sales and then into recruitment from sales. You've gone at it a slightly different way. So there's probably people from various backgrounds sitting there watching this thinking, is recruitment for me? Or is it something that I should maybe look at and give more serious thought? What advice would you give to anybody that's thinking about a career in recruitment, or even if they've just started out in recruitment?
To be fair, I don't think background's massively important for recruitment. It's more about the person themselves.
Yeah.
I think if somebody's coming into recruitment, the big thing they've got to ask themselves is how hard are they willing to work?
Okay.
If they're not willing to sort of get in, put the hard work in between the hours when they're working. Like I say, I don't think recruitment's that game anymore where when you're working sort of 7 in the morning till 7 at night.
You stay in the office really late.
Yeah. That's not the culture of recruitment anymore, what it sort of used to be. But if you're in the office sort of 8 till 5, whatever it is, like we are, you've got to be willing to put the graft in those hours, because it is hard work. But if you are willing to get in and do that hard work, then you will be massively rewarded for it, whether it be sort of bits of lunches and everything we do, the more sort of add on the stuff that we do outside of work, or if it's obviously financially. There are those massive sort of bonuses if you are willing to put that work in.
I'd probably agree with that. I think as a trainee coming into the industry, you need to understand your market. You need to get to know your market as quickly as possible. You can generally tell which trainees are going to last, in my experience, and which ones might struggle. And it does come down to those people that are prepared to pick up the phone and have conversations with people. You might not know all the answers. You might not necessarily have everything at your fingertips in your first few months, but being prepared to do it.
It's also showing an interest in what you do.
Yeah.
Because like I say, again, you see the people that are trainees that come into the business that are going to last or not. In our market, it's when you're walking down the street, I can't walk down past a construction site without having a look on it. I do my missus's head in, because I'll often pull over at the side of the road to find out who the site manager is on the site, 'cause it's on a board outside, and it's that will and that want to sort of find stuff out, and find that information out. And I think it's just genuinely being interested in what you're doing.
I'm the same. I think the missus was delighted when staycations finished and you could go back abroad again, because we've been away a couple of times over the COVID period, and you walk past a building site and I'm taking pictures of the site boards so that I've got the details for when we get back to the office. So yeah, I completely appreciate that. Well, look, appreciate your time, appreciate you doing this. Obviously, if there's anything that you think we've missed, feel free to put it in the comments below, and we'll definitely come back to you. Like this video, most importantly, subscribe to the channel. You'll be notified every time a new video comes out on a Sunday at 8 o'clock. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next week.
Cheers.